Yeah, hi people, me again obviously as always, Moino Ravenberg, and as usual. Yeah, this is a treat for especially for people that love the Goetia. So I have one hell of a treat, as you can tell or see based on the header of this content, this segment. Um, the forgotten spirits of the Goetia, forgotten figuratively speaking, not literally. So yeah, people that love the Goetia will definitely love this, obviously. Um, yeah, let me see, how do I begin? Before I continue, there is an article associated with this video. Check the link in the description the way it is by default. I've got it linked there, as well as anything else of interest. But the article is the main focus. You'll find all the information you want in the article. Now, long story short, I came about this idea, a couple of days ago. And I used my mind delving ability. Look up mind delving on my channel if you want to know exactly what it's all about and whatnot, and or my website, in which I extracted this information. It's something that I was already aware of, I've been aware of it for like a considerably long time. I want to say years. Don't really keep track, but I already had a hunch at the very least that there was more to it. And when I looked into it, surprise, surprise, but obviously not to me, it turns out that the Goetia had more than the original 72 spirits. The rest were metaphorically omitted essentially during the whole process of rewriting and making edits and transferring the knowledge, passing the knowledge on essentially from era to era. And what you were left with is in essence or essentially is the original 72, that most people that own the Goetia or that have the Goetia in their possession, actually, as in the Lesser Key of Solomon, Book 1, the Goetia, that they've seen there essentially. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, I just finished up the article and whatnot. I'm literally just recording this raw the way I usually do. Let me just briefly think about what I saw initially when I looked into it and I asked, hey, is there anything more to the Goetia? The fact that one of the things I saw is that it's been used by different people of different backgrounds, so different anything, material attribute wise, people of different ethnicities, people from different cultures throughout different times. And the Goetia has not changed in the sense that the Goetia was one of the main spiritual workbooks to go to. There's no differently, mind you, than present day. The most popular, it was generally speaking the most popular workbook, even for people that knew little to nothing about the occult. It was like the cover for the occult, essentially like the poster boy for the occult or poster child for the occult, for any person that's even remotely interested in the occult. And of course, yours truly, I also, back when I was a beginner, I also worked with the Goetia. For the sake of convenience and easy access, so ease of accessibility. In 2017 and 2018, primarily, when I first started up my business, my occult empire, which it has grown into, even if I say so myself, of course, as always. I work with mostly Goetic spirits. If a client came to me or similar, or I wanted something personally done, I work with Goetic spirits. Not all of them, but the Goetia was one of my first go-to things. It was only when I became more experienced, one of my first go-to outlets. It was only when I became more experienced that I said that I'm going to explore the rest. It was the Goetia and or the Order of the Pentacles from the Greater Key of Solomon. Those two were like the staple. They were like the milestones or the they were the milestones from which I worked essentially. Let's call them metaphorical foundations. And that's also why I covered more than a few of those Goetic spirits on my channel. For example, Belial C3, still called Belial B. He's still like the third most spirit I favor, other than my beloved Lord of Lords Sandalphon and Primordial Lord Samael. He's still my third in command. Not that I need a third in command, but in a manner of speaking. And all of the others, Zipar, etc. I've covered more than a few Goetic spirits, people that people that have watched my content, especially on YouTube, are more than familiar with that. The spirits that I have the most experience with, a considerable amount of them were Goetic spirits, not to mention the fact that I thoroughly evaluated the Goetia years ago in 2018, essentially. You name it, Paimon, Bale, I literally like went over a considerable amount of them. Not to mention the fact again that I summoned at least 70 to 80% of the spirits in the Goetia. But my point is, obviously I'm anything but the only one that has done not so, but similar. Like I said, most people, most practitioners, they at least half of them, they turn to the Goetia, or they have looked in the direction of the Goetia. Especially people that don't have a lot in the way of experience or knowledge and or know-how, for the aforementioned reasons. My point of saying this is that I saw that throughout the ages, that hasn't changed pretty much. The same way things are up to present day. Those are the same habits that people had back in the day. Okay, the Goetia was like the go-to book for like, hey, I want to summon a spirit, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yep, Goetia, 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 Goetia. It wasn't the only one, obviously, but still, it was one of the most popular. Just like nowadays, it's one of the most popular workbooks that you go to. Let me see what other interesting things I saw. Nothing really mentioned worthy comes to mind, in all honesty, viewers. Nothing that's worth mentioning. Oh yeah, other minor interesting thing is that it also was going to be noblemen and noblewomen, so royal people from a royal court and whatnot, from kingdoms throughout ages also wanted to use it, or it was originally intended to be used for that purpose, or mainly intended, or something in between, going on and off, like at an intermittent level. But in the end, nothing really came of it. And something that I think I've already said is that it's like a dictionary, an open source dictionary. It's almost like the occult Wikipedia from back in the day, the ancient occult Wikipedia. People throughout the ages, like they compiled lists of spirits, as in pop, 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 and whatnot. And a good deal of the misinformation you see in the Goetia, of which there are many, to put it that way, is not just from dissuading people that have malevolent intentions from being able to use it properly, but yeah, those people would have a hard time either way using it, but also for the sake of embellishment, and as in so that people would be willing to buy it, as in, oh cool, look, you'll never believe I got this spirit and he can like overthrow ships and set stuff on fire, he can like destroy castles, really, let me see, yeah, it's only 5 shillings, yeah. Other than that, also these spirits, they have what was I gonna say? Yeah, what's the interesting thing I saw? Yeah, no, is that also there was a lack of like real knowledge. And lastly, the last thing I remember seeing is like anyone, honestly, that it was used throughout the ages. The Romans used it. A good deal of people from thingy civilizations used it. The people in the caliphates, like Arabs, used it, and it just goes on and on and on and on. Jews used it. Oh yeah, originally also it was intended to have more pagan spirits than it already had, but Jews got their hands on it, to put it that way, and they put it more through like a Christian filter, I want to say, and that's why you had more like legitimate infernal spirits and whatnot. And now that I think of it, I'm also hearing the message that it was there are no angels in the Goetia specifically. There are infernal spirits. Any Christian spirits are infernal, is because it would be seen as heresy, for example, by Jews and or Christians to add celestial spirits with pagans. So within that context, so yeah, that's for the rest, nothing really mentioned worthy in the way of really interesting stuff. So yeah, now let's get to this. Before I share the guys, the additional guys with you guys, the additional spirits, I need to explain all of this so that it's clear. I can't commit to any shortcuts or anything like that. I can't just say, hey, here you go, guys, but otherwise it's like half-assing stuff, and that's not me, obviously. Before I share the additional Goetics with you guys, the I could tell that while I was busy compiling this information, I could tell why they were omitted honestly from the original. Now, before I show you the additional Goetic spirits, let me say beforehand that these spirits, you'll immediately be able to tell that they're different from the conventional 72. They immediately stand out, and the descriptions and whatnot, they from that you can deduce that they weren't exactly the most sought after entities in the Goetia, or the most popular. And how they became omitted is that at certain point, the writers that were, for example, biased for the aforementioned reasons, or due to the aforementioned reasons, they simply said, you know what, I'm gonna leave out these pages altogether. So they like disposed of them, they tore pages out and whatnot, and it just kept going like that to the point where what you see is what we have up to present day. Okay, so the original 72, the classical 72, the conventional 72 as we know them, let me see. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Not to mention the fact that here and there was also some missing information. Okay, as in the person that wanted to add the Goetia wasn't exactly like, for example, one or two last spirits. It was somewhat nonchalant, and he was like, yeah, I can't be bothered with the appearance, I can't be bothered with the specialty, stuff like that. So what you were left with is like just a name and like how many legions a spirit rules over. So people were like, you know what, we're just going to editors and whatnot, and ancient editors, so to speak, or medieval editors, and anything else and everything else in between, or everyone else in between. They just were like, at some point, they were like, you know what, we're not going to bother. Let me put it that way, or let me put it this way. It's like, imagine editing a Wikipedia article, and you're doing an article on JF Kennedy, you know, former president, one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history, John Francis Kennedy. In any case, JFK Kennedy. And you're doing an article, and you're going over all the interesting things in his life and whatnot. And then you come across a section in his life pertaining to his hobbies, etc., and his ideologies, so beliefs and whatnot. But you couldn't like get the information in full. It's like there in part. And for whatever reason, you can't be bothered. You were just like, listen, it's impractical because it's too much work, and I have to work too hard, and I have to, after looking up on several sources, you simply can't find the missing bits. And you're saying to yourself, listen, for a while you leave it like that, but at a certain point you're going to say to yourself, listen, I would like a well-rounded article, you know, all of that stuff. It's not really appealing to a lot of people, and you know, other than hardcore fans of JFK. So let me just, listen, let's just make after some deliberation, you're just like, if you have a team of editors, you're like, listen guys, let's just leave this section out, okay? It's just easier and more practical that way. That's what you can compare this to. Understood? Now let's get going. Oh boy. And I did the same thing with mind delving, like my astral senses literally just gave me the information as in pop, 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 pop. Now I'm going to read from the article, and I'm going to elaborate here and there so that it's all clear. Now, the Forgotten Spirits of the Goetia. By above title, I mean that the Goetia, as I was told when mind delving, has more than 72 spirits, something I already suspected. The estimated tally was between 80 and 85 in total. Also, other minor details regarding it are discussed in the video below. Yeah, I'm sorry for the annoying motorcycles and nonsense, but like people outside my house driving and whatnot. It's silent Saturday, so apologies, metaphorical apologies for that. So let's get into it. The remaining Goetics. Spirit 73. The principal entity is a royal jester called or named Awusni or Awusnoch. His specialty lieth in the destruction of mankind. He ruleth over 87 or 99, but less likely 2 legions of infernal spirits that obey him, etc., and therefore the operator as well if he honors thee. His appearance cannot be fathomed by man, and he will show himself unto thee in a duly or dutiful fashion or manner. This is his character which is used to be worn as a sigil before he who calleth him forth, or else he will not honor thee or pay thee homage. Yeah, and I have the sigil right next to the description, typical Goetia style. I deliberately did it that way, and I also Goetified, what I like to call, I Goetified the seals as well, as in I professionalized the seals by putting the rings around it and the names going from like left to right. Now, what do you notice immediately? Jester. We all know what a jester is in general. A jester is like a guy, like a medieval clown, essentially, a royal clown, like a clown that amused the king or queens of the court, kings and queens of the court. But in this context, jester isn't meant clown. Jester simply meant servant, a royal servant. Within this context, that's what it means. So yeah, first up, 73 is Ausni or Ausnoch. What is meant by the appearance is that, when I saw Ausni or Ausnoch, it's like indistinguishable. It's like indescribable. It's like some vortex like creature, like just going like, you know, and that's why. No offense meant to him, obviously. I mean this in a neutral context. And for the rest, yeah, it's the usual. You can talk to him, etc., etc. Now, Spirit 74. The 74th entity is called Kalan or Kalan with a C. So Kallan or Callan or Kalano or Kalani. He is a royal courtyard jester, so mightily great and strong that the entire earth shakes beneath his feet. He appears in the form of a three-headed hydra with more heads being able to flourish as they go. His office is to sow discord and enmity amongst targets of the operator. He giveth great familiars at the request of the Magos. He commanded or directed 55 legions of spirits, and his seal is this, etc., etc. Yeah. Kalani or Kalan. He almost looks like a sauropod. Can't remember, like, hey, let me see. I don't know if that's a sauropod. In any case, a dinosaur that the dinosaurs with long necks that you like saw in Jurassic Park and whatnot that like ate from high trees, like yum yum yum, like that, but with multiple heads, and the earth does shake beneath his feet. That's why. And for the rest, he's black, you know. So he's a dinosaur-looking hydra, and like I said, more heads can like sprout, like turning into like some kind of Medusa-looking thing. A Medusa-looking hydra. Yeah, that's essentially it. I think he metaphorically, I don't have a favorite, but metaphorically regarding appearance, that might be my favorite appearance out of all the new Goetics, or the quote-unquote forgotten Goetics. Spirit 75, the 75, yeah. The 75th entity of the Goetia is Holu or Holi. He is a crafty deceiver and destroyer, and showcases this well in thy operations with or unto him. He specializeth in as aforesaid destruction unto thy enemies, and is witty in teaching or bestowing unto the operator the art of assassinry, thievery, and the likes. He governeth 31 legions of spirits, and his seal is this, etc. Yeah, so Holy or Holu. The seal cracked me up the most, in a manner of speaking, not meant disrespectfully towards him. The seal is literally a thief or an assassin stealing, like reaching out for the average person's bag, so, or someone that has a lot in the way of wealth or material attributes, and you'll see the seal for yourself. Seal is little like And when my mind gave me that seal, like through mind delving, I was like, really? Okay, I was like, this is hilarious. I'm like, okay, it's funny. Oh yeah, and speaking of that, again, you see the difference, right? If you guys are looking at the article right now, you see the difference in seals. If you compare the average conventional Goetic spirits, the 72, and you compare their seals, you're immediately going to be like, wow, it's so abstract. Like, it's not at all like the classical 72. Exactly, that's my point. Not bad, but good, arguably. It's left up to the operator. Me personally, I actually like it. It's quite, I'm not saying I like these spirits more than the original 72. There is no concept of liking for me. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm simply saying it's, personally for me, it's metaphorically refreshing. It's quite, it can be comical. Let me just put it that way. It's quite funny, honestly. But no less serious, obviously. And in terms of Holi's or Holu's appearance, yeah, it's the same thing. Like a semi-transparent assassin, honestly. Like a typical medieval assassin with daggers and whatnot, dressed in a cloak, completely in complete darkness. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Very assassinish. or assassinee. Spirit 76. The 76th spirit or being is a vice president by the name of Balimno. He appeared as like a wooden guardian. Ballimno. I repeat, Balimno. He appeared like a wooden guardian. He protects thee from the terrors of the earth. He governed 55 legions of spirits, and this is his seal, which must be made in awareness aforesaid, etc. Yeah, and Balimno, what can I say? He looks like if you were to turn a tree, a very smooth tree at that, a tree where the tree bark is like completely smooth and clean. If you were to turn that into some kind of golem of sorts, it's like the real life horrific version of Pinocchio, but like he's a huge giant, like 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters, and he has like a mallet in his hand, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And he has a very naturistic vibe around him. He has a naturistic theme to his flair, if you will. Yeah, and vice president, again, just a title. I do need to note as well that, like I said, the whole things of, I already brought this up. The titles, okay, kings and queens and stuff like that, I'm sorry, marquis and dukes and whatnot, and kings and princes, those are all hogwash, okay, those are, I already said this in the original thing about the Goetia, the original content I did, if I recall correctly, if not at some point, okay, if not, I'm saying it right now, is that it's all hogwash, okay, these titles were simply added by the editor, or at some point to again embellish their the grandioseness of these spirits or of these entities. It's like essentially it's like basic marketing up to present day. See what I mean? That's the case. Mentality of people doesn't really change. The material world has changed, but mentality of people at base level stays the same. No different than a marketing strategy where someone tries to sell you something and they try to make an apple come off as a pineapple. Okay, what I'm simply saying is that they embellish something and exaggerate to the point where they try to make it come off 5 times that it actually is. Something I dislike, especially when you're dealing with things such as things of a leisurely nature or otherwise, like real estate or etc. You can see it throughout the entirety of society. Okay, any kind of consumables, vacation, and it just goes on. You want to take a tour when you're on vacation in some foreign country, the tour on paper looks like an 8, and then when you're actually there, it's like a 5. The tour is good, but not nearly as good as it was made out to be. But these are all, like I said, marketing strategies. Their whole purpose is to, in a manner of speaking, deceive people as a means of selling as much as possible. Okay, it's immoral, arguably, at the very least arguably, but I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, it's simply an example. It's no different with that, just like I said. So again, I simply extracted the root information as it was originally put down. That's why you're seeing even the classical old English with ye old English and whatnot. Now, that was Balimno. Spirit 77, the 77 being is a vice marquis by the name of Valimno or Valich or Valich. I say Valich because Valich is, Valimno is Valimno. Valich can be spelled either Valij or Valic. I prefer the last one, Valich. Sounds Eastern European, sounds Slavic in nature. So I'll be calling him that from now on, Valich. Now, his likeness is that of an anteater of size or a beaver. He knoweth the secrets of astronomy and the earth's movements and most matters relating unto the aforementioned. Knoweth very well that Valimno or Valich must be made an initial offering prior to working with him or engaging in such, notably in the form of a considerable amount of fruits and herbs in order to appease his majesty. He governed 17 legions of spirits, and this is his seal, which must be made in ward, etc., etc. Again, I must point at why another reason why you're seeing that it was like discarded. Vice marquis. Like these guys thought to themselves, like the editors, as in, we don't want to settle for like a vice marquis or anything like that. They were like, is it me or is something off about these spirits? Like, they seem to not like stack up to the others. Let's just, listen, let's just dismiss them. But of course, that's quite incorrect. That's like, it's like being prejudiced. Being prejudiced in general is correct, applicable to human beings and certain aspects of the world, but definitely not to the occult. oh boy, are you making a mistake if you're going to be, or you're making a huge mistake if you're going to be prejudiced when it comes to the occult. So yeah, now I also love this spirit's form as well as his seal. He appears as an anteater, like a huge anteater, a human-sized anteater. Or alternative form is a beaver, but it's like a huge black anteater. And he crawls into an astral hole and whatnot. And yeah, he requires substantial offerings. Not like an entire 5 tables worth of fruits and fruits and herbs, but you know, a table or half a table would be suitable. An above average offering needs to be made. So think of the average thing you would offer and then multiply that times 3, times 4. If you want to be generous, to be generous, you need to be generous, period. With valage. Now, seal is that of essentially a crude drawing of an anteater sticking its tongue down an anthill. So an anteater having dinner, if you will, or lunch. So it's quite, I like it, it's quite cute. The second I drew it as well, I was like, oh god, that's just, that's not funny, it's just cute. It's quite quaint. But of course, no fucking around with valage. Absolutely not. Oh boy, no. Spirit number 78. The 78th entity or spirit is a magnificent king with queens by his side at every turn. His name is Avulim, or Avulimni. That's spelled Avuliim, and the Ni in between brackets. I'll simply be referring to him as Avulim. He knows the secrets of the waters and the depths, and readily guided thee to places where pearls and wealth in relation to the oceans and depths of the world are hidden, and can also protect thy treasures from others in that regard or aspect. When working with this king, thou must have the presence of water near the ritual chamber, be it a glass of water or similar. He governeth 5 legions that be it prone to multiplication. I found that as well interesting. And something I noticed, like, the more I went in terms of the spirits, the more metaphorically abstract they became. So when I started with Spirit 73, it still looked conventional, and then as I went, they kept becoming more metaphorically, goetically abstract. Let me just put it that way. And with Avulim, yeah, that's pretty much it. Avulim appears as... Yeah, there is no appearance given here. Yeah, I remember. There was no appearance given in when I received the message. Okay. And so, like I said, some of these spirits, they didn't have descriptions even in terms of what they look like. Avulim appeared as... when I saw Avulim, he appeared as a tidal wave, believe it or not. A tidal wave kind of entity with other tidal waves smacking into it. So think of just the waves being caught up in a huge tidal wave, like a flood. And it just kept repeating itself in that context. And then I saw like a watery king in the middle briefly with queens by his side. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's the description, okay. And I saw some thingy creatures, some marine creatures, quite dangerous predatory creatures, like think of a great white or the ancestor of a great white shark. And it just goes on. That's essentially what Avulim is like. And yeah, like I said, he governed 5 legions that be it prone to multiplication. Oh yeah, I also saw that. Almost forgot. In a matter of speaking, forgot. I saw it. I saw initially like the familiars of spirits, and then I saw them that they had like the ability to multiply. Like, I was like, okay, like 10 guys standing behind Avulim, and then the 10 guys turned into like 50 guys, and then it just kept going. Spirit 79, the 79 Goetic spirit. The 79th spirit, Goet by the name Alpit. That's spelled Aalpit or Aalpith. You can choose either. I'll simply be calling him Alpit. I would simply choose the one without the H, personally. You do whichever one you are familiar with, or whichever one you're comfortable with. He appeareth or showeth himself unto thee in the form of a newborn of any kind, whether it be that of man or beast. His specialty lieth in all matters that relate unto childbirth and maternity, regardless of nature. Alpit showeth no bias in his forte, for it can be done in a positive manner or the adverse. He commanded 10 to 11 legions, and thou art aware of the instructions involving his sigil, which is this, etc. Yeah, albeit another quite comical or quite peculiar, not comical, quite peculiar, comical to me slightly, but quite peculiar thingy. Seal. Now, albeit, it says he shows up in the form of a newborn child, man or beast. That is correct. When I first saw albeit, I saw a baby calf, so like a calf, so a baby cow. And then it turned into a human baby. And then the baby slightly changed ethnicities. It went from like a Caucasian baby to a black baby. And switched a couple of ethnicities or something. And but the baby was not like a regular human baby. It was like some scary baby. Like a horror demon looking baby somewhat. No horns or anything, just off looking, as in something's not right about that child. And then I saw a weird dark hunched over creature doing just that, being hunched over the child in question or the fetus in question, that is like 2 meters, 2.5 meters. Think of like what you imagine the boogeyman would look like. Quite scary to the average person. To me, not so much. And that's pretty much it. That's what thingy looks like. That's what albeit looks like. And specialty, as it said, I'm still pretty sure that's clear, right? Everything that has to do with childbirth, maternity, conception, etc., etc. Everything that has to do with children and having children or the opposite. That's why it's also mentioned that he shows no bias. Okay, if you want to do something positive, you want to have children, or you want to terminate a pregnancy, or the opposite, or do something that can be bluntly put as horrific. I repeat, horrific. Something dark, in a manner of speaking, then again, he showed no bias. He's good either way. Good to go. Whether you want to do something good or something that can be seen arguably as malevolent. It's all up to you. Yeah, and 10 to 11 legions approximately. See, another thing that you notice, there is no exact thingy given with some of them. Some of them, it was like between 10 or, it was either 10 or 11 I got the message. I was like, between 10 or 11. I was like, okay, I'll just write 10 and 11. With some of them, I was just like, my senses just told me, we're just going to settle on, for example, if it says 55 or 56, 55 was more closer, so we'll just settle on 55, Master Moreno. I was like, okay, cool, 55 it is. But again, there were estimates in terms of the legions. Again, any person that pays attention to every little thing in detail, you'll immediately notice a considerable amount of differences between the classical 72 Goetics and these metaphorical outliers. I mean, all the Goetic spirits I've dealt with, even they, I can't think of a single Goetic spirit, with the exception of maybe Stolas, that I've summoned, that is like these guys, or the 4 ones, Gap, Amaimon, Zimimai or Ziminar, and Corson, yeah. Those guys come more closer to looking like the guys I'm talking about here. But the classical 72, there is a noticeable difference. If you're someone you have a considerable amount of experience in Goetic spirits, then you'll notice a difference. Okay, you're more than welcome to like work with any of these guys. That's the whole reason I'm publishing it. Knock yourself out. Let me just finish up. Now, last one, spirit number 80. The 80th entity that thou shalt love and cherish or adore is Walweep or Wolweep. Or Valweep or Wolweep. But yeah, you can pronounce it Walweep. W-A-A-L-W-I-P or W-O-L-W-I-P. He taketh on the form of the wind or the air, yet in such a manner that he be it visible unto thee. Take thou note that this spirit is prone to being temperamental and of a seasonable mood. Set thyself in thy ways and ready thyself briefly before calling upon him. He commanded and directed 12 to 13 legions of familiar, especially volatile ones. And yeah, this seal is the only seal, Valweep or Volweep seal, Volweep seal or Valweep seal, is the only one that isn't Goetified, in the sense that I didn't put rings around it and his name. And that wasn't a coincidence. Again, it's a testament to his nature, because I noticed like small things that happened that set him aside from the rest. For example, when I drew the seals, because that's how I did it, I drew them first and then I scanned them on the printer and then I edited it and like digitalized it and whatnot, etc., etc. And then I had them verified, as I like to put it. With all the others, I clearly gave the instructions to the printer to have it downloaded in PDF format. But with Walweep, despite the fact that I did the exact same, for some reason it still came out as JPEG, and it immediately drew my attention. And he also, I could sense him also politely asking me if like, hey, if it's okay, if it's all the same to you, I prefer to not be Go verified, my seal be Go verified. I'm like, okay, it's no hair off of my back, so to speak. Doesn't really matter to me. So I noticed it. I was like, yep, temperamental and seasonal nature indeed. He can be moody. Now, as for the appearance, yeah, like he appears as air, honestly, similar to his seal. It's like literally just a vortex of air, and usually air obviously is transparent, similar to water, and like you can't see air. I can't see air, I can feel it, but you can't literally see it in a conventional manner. But with him, you can. It's like instead of being transparent, so metaphorically invisible, it becomes like slightly whitish, if you will. In any case, you can see the vortex of air, and there is like a kind of like a demonic looking creature, like the head of a demonic creature at the top in the middle, like at 12 o'clock, so 12 p.m. I mean, just plain 12, sorry, 12 o'clock in the center, and like has like almost like a wolf's face, if you will, but without the beak, like that, with ears, etc. It's essentially, he looks just like his seal, and vice versa. And yeah, and that's it. That was the last spirit. There are still two remaining spirits. There were still two remaining spirits, in total 82 or 83. But I stopped with Walweep because my intuition also told me that, hey, it's not really necessary to continue, because you can already tell that you keep like, it's not really necessary, point one, because the spirits, the remaining 2 to 3 spirits are, they barely have any data to them. It's literally not even like no appearance or anything. It's literally just like maybe a name and a half-ass name at that, for example, and like and the names of the legions. So imagine like a description that's only like 2 or 3 sentences, like this spirit's name is da da da, and he ruled over these legions and whatnot. So it keeps like deteriorating to the point where there's like nothing left. And that's point one. That's reason number one for why it's impractical to cover the remaining 2 or 3. And reason number 2 is that the last 2 or 3 are metaphorically, in terms of within a metaphorical negative context, in terms of difficulty in dealing with, or potential difficulty in dealing with, depending on the individual, they're quote unquote even worse than Walweep. If Walweep is already so temperamental, I could sense it, and my astral senses also told me, no offense meant to Walweep, of course, but the remaining 2 or 3 ones are also like, they're even more difficult, essentially. It's like when you deal with someone and with a person, and the person can be high maintenance, for example, and this and this and that and that. They can be arguably difficult to deal with and or to handle. And that's the reason why I said, my intuition told me, listen, 80 is enough. I mean, rounding it off to 80 is enough. And again, I was like, yeah, I see that. With Walweep already, I see that, hey, like I mentioned, the whole JPEG thing instead of PDF, and Walweep doesn't want to be verified. I can see the temperamental, okay? And that's also why you've got the warning, as in, the description is like, hey, take note, set yourself in your ways and ready yourself, as in, listen, plant your feet if you're going to summon Walweep, and like be sure of yourself in terms of what you're doing, because if you're like doubtful, then Walweep might honestly seriously disrespect you and tell you, listen, don't summon me for bullshit if you're not sure about yourself, otherwise piss off, don't summon me again, like that. So again, another reason, you're seeing for yourself why these spirits were by no coincidence omitted, honestly. Coincidence or otherwise, doesn't matter. You can see why. Again, ignore that. You can see why these spirits were omitted from the original Goetia, from the original 72. Why they quote unquote didn't make the final cut. So yeah, let me close off. The total amount of spirits that were in the Goetia originally are either 82 or 83. This is the closest one can get, so to speak, in terms of accuracy number wise. And then I have an asterisk, attention. I have not confirmed the descriptions factually the way my followers have seen me do on my website and YouTube video. The above descriptions are just like the ones in the Goetia, so the credibility is yet to be validated. I do not know if I shall be doing so at any given point in the future. The purpose of this topic was obvious, to document the absent entities of the Goetia at origin levels. Done. And then I have simply the original article I did years ago for people that haven't read it and would like to read it at the bottom. And that's it, guys. Yeah, 40-minute video. Couldn't keep it short. I had to go over everything in utmost detail. So that's what with all of these guys. And yeah, the closer speaks for itself at the bottom. You know, I haven't confirmed any of them. The way I like usually do, you see me cover a spirit as in, hey, this spirit has this degree in this zodiac sign, so planetary ruler is this, these are the abilities, the way I usually do. No, I didn't do any of that. I literally asked my mind for the original information, the same way that it's written in the Goetia, the same way that with these spirits it was written down, but I have not confirmed any of their, so to speak, alleged skills and fortes and specialties and whatnot. Okay, while I was busy just compiling all of this information, I saw those guys, so I know what they look like appearance wise, at least in general, or for the most part, just overall. But I have not confirmed, and nor do I know if I at any given point in the future will confirm, or I'm even interested in confirming their specialties. If like, hey, can the spirit really do what it says that it can do and whatnot. So yeah, nevertheless, I'm pretty sure that most of you, especially Goetia lovers, will eat your heart out with this one. Bye bye, until next time.